Welcome to today's episode. And on today's episode, I get to talk to the incredible Regina Meredith. The last time I spoke to this epic human was when I was sitting at her desk on Open Minds. Regina Meredith is the co-author of The Future Human, this book that she co-led with Lee Harris and the Z's. And trust me, I have read it. I love it. Obviously, we're going to talk a lot about it in this conversation. I highly recommend you go get it. Regina Meredith has worn most of the hats available in the world of mainstream media, having been a show host, a news anchor, a network sports broadcaster, reporter, producer, and writer. She has worked for NBC, PBS, and is currently the host of Open Minds on Gaia TV. This woman is extraordinary, and I love sitting with her anytime, any opportunity I get to talk to her, because the wisdom within this projector is off the charts. So yes, she is a 4/6 emotional projector, the cross of explanation. I mean, of course she is, right? She really is all about taking these huge ideas and concepts and making them super simple so that we can actually understand them, integrate them, live with them. This conversation, again, was so short in comparison of what we could have gone on to talk about. In fact, she's going to come back. She's going to talk about the origins of being human and human beings on planet Earth, which is super exciting. But in today's episode, we talk all about this book, The Future Human, that, as I said, she interviewed the Z's, which are the galactic beings that Lee Harris channels. And I actually listened to it on Audible this time. So it's the live recordings of those sessions, which is just fantastic. Honestly, I walked away from this book and this interview feeling really confident, feeling peace in my heart, because I really feel like these future humans that we are evolving into, like, babe, we have got this. Yes, it's messy. Yes, it's not always easy. However, we are absolutely on the right path. So enjoy this amazing conversation with this incredible woman. Hey, everyone, and welcome to today's episode. On today's episode, I got to be honest, I'm a little bit pumped and excited because I feel like the tables have flipped a bit, and I get to interview someone who is one of the greatest interviewers on the planet, in my opinion. I'm literally riveted and watching every episode of Open Minds as it comes out. So, Regina Meredith, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Em. It's good to see you again, even though it's virtually. Last time I saw you in the flesh in the Gaia Studios in Boulder, Colorado. Good to see you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so excited to be here with you again. And this time we're going to talk about this beautiful book, or should we just call it a transmission, that you did with Lee Harris and, of course, the Z's. Because this is something, as I was reading through this book, what I really found was, as I was listening to you ask the questions, hold space, and then let the Z's kind of respond, so much of what they said not only gave me a breath of fresh air, like that feels true, but the other part is I felt like so much of it languaged what I'm kind of intuitively already feeling. So it really kind of helped me ground, okay, I can trust what I'm feeling. You know, the world is not, the world's not going to, not exist tomorrow type thing. And there's so many exciting things on the horizon. So I suppose straight out of the gate, I'd really love to hear about your experience bringing this book to life in the first place, because I know it was a bit of time before it actually happened.
Yeah, Lee and I became friends over the years. I'd had him on my show Open Minds and on my own site. And so over the course of, 10 years, we'd become friends. And he'd always said it would be so great if we could do some kind of project together. And it turned out that in 2023, we were both going to be in England at the same time. And he said, how about if I book a studio? And we talked about doing a book together of some kind. It was very open-minded about leaving it to me to decide what I felt from all of the interviews I do and all the questions I ask, what would be the most needed subject at this time, in my opinion. And I told him that I felt it was the future human. Part of this was because my own guide group, my own soul group, had been talking with me for decades about what was coming in the future. So I already had some clue about where we were headed, and that yes, there would be bumpy times, but it was going to lead us to a more refined place as a species, and that our species was incredibly precious throughout the universe because of the nature of what we are. And so I already had a heads up on that from my soul group. And I thought, wouldn't it be great to have a contemporary conversation today with the Z's about it and get their transmission and take on it? And because if there's basic truth, the same truth would be reflected, only enhanced on. And it could be a real dialogue and conversation. So I told Lee what I thought about it. I said, I think we should do The Future Human. He said, oh my God, let's call the book The Future Human. I said, yeah, let's do it. That was it. So we met in Windsor in England for 3 days. And over the course of 3 days, we recorded this transmission that became the book, the one you're listening to.
Oh my goodness, I love it. And, I so think that it's divinely guided, it's perfect timing. And there were so many things that I thought were really fascinating. I think the first thing that I really loved was this idea that the consciousness level of the group of people or the place, that can really affect even like natural things that happen perhaps with the weather or actual events. And as I'm reading it, I'm literally there walking along the beach going, oh my God, I knew it, because we've actually just had a cyclone. A number of weeks ago, we had a cyclone and it hit the eastern part of Australia, and it was a little bit north of us. I'm in Byron Bay. But I had this experience that as we were going through this process, I would talk to everyone and they would say, yeah, I'm prepared, but I feel like everything's going to be okay. And this is the thing I heard from all of my friends, all of my peers. And I had felt the same thing, even though there was a lot of negative kind of fear mongering. The actual community was like, it feels like it's not going to be much. And then I don't know if you know anything about what happened to the cyclone, but although Brisbane did get hit and the Goldie did get hit, it dissipated as it hit land. And I was like, I wonder, because where we live, we are these people it's a very high consciousness area. So
Yes.
I just really would love to hear your projector wisdom on that.
Okay, so first of all, probably 3 or 4 decades ago, I talked to my own soul group about it. So understand, I have a soul group I'm from. I'm here doing my job. But there was a woman who lives here, who is still alive, who's from that same soul group, who was the channeler for that group way back 40 years ago. And that's when I first met her and became acquainted with this group in this way. And I mean, I'm part of them. They're always with me, but here I'm listening to them through a transmission through this channel, who was a very, what I call, certainly one of the purest channels I've ever met to this day. And so you could ask whatever you wanted. The group is austere. I could ask about anything, and I was like a kid in a candy shop. So I asked about the future of healing and disease, and I asked about everything I could think of at that time. Sadly, I didn't know as much as I know today, or I would have asked a lot more, but I can still communicate with them. So what happened was there was a lot of talk about earth changes coming up. I had read Greg Braden's, I think it was called 0 Point, 1986. And I said, yikes, what's going to happen? Edgar Casey, I've been reading Edgar Casey. All these chunks of America are supposed to break off into the sea, these predictions, and it's all coming about around this time according to these prophecies. But remember, again, this was probably in the 80s when I asked these questions, so 40 years ago. And they said much of what was predicted by Edgar Casey and others regarding earth changes will not occur in the way predicted. The reason is because the consciousness of the people on the land will have an effect on and even change completely the outcome of these events. Well, at the time, I was young, and I was like, how does that work? I didn't quite get it. I wasn't developed enough on a spiritual level in terms of the understanding and mechanics of how our mind field is interconnected with the earth's mind field, and our emotional bodies, all the dimensions of us are connected with the earth. And I didn't really understand that fully at the time, so I just kind of tucked it away. So when I was talking with the Z's, I remembered that, and I said, people are concerned about earth changes, weather changes, phenomena of all kind right now, and they're becoming frightened. So I asked them that question and said, Edgar Casey made these predictions. Their answer was quite interesting. They said, you have to remember that in the day, Edgar Casey was a wonderful intuitive. However, he was under a great deal of pressure to come up with prediction after prediction for people. That wasn't really what he was originally charged with. He was a healer. He was bringing through information of a healing nature to people that was astounding, but they wanted to know their future, right? So he got nailed into some predictions that were fungible, really. I mean, it doesn't mean it's going to turn out like that 30, 40, 60 years down the road. So he said, just keep in mind things change over time and they change with consciousness. So when the Z's said, what has occurred had these events occurred in those areas even 20 or 30 years ago, the effects would have been very different. But the consciousness has shifted enough. So they basically completely mirrored what my soul group said. And so I thought, isn't that interesting? So what did I do? I talked to Greg Braden and went back to Greg. And this is just a few weeks ago. I said, hey, Greg, what's happening? All that 0 point stuff. He said, fascinating. There's a documentary we've done on it. A lot of things have changed, even with the earth. But what was interesting to me was one of the areas that was supposed to be seriously damaged is California. I mean, San Andreas line runs right through here. We're known, Pakistan and California are known for earthquakes, basically. Yeah, a little Hollywood and a little Silicon Valley, but earthquakes. And so he said, interestingly, the way the center of the core of the earth is behaving and these kind of plumes of energy coming out, one is over toward Pakistan, one is in the Ring of Fire, which is California up through Alaska, very heavy fault line activity. He said, California now has almost constant earthquake activity. You really can't tell where one ends and the other begins. It's all the time, but it's very low, like 1.0, 2.0, maybe 3.0 in magnitude, which doesn't cause any damage. He said, it's as though something shifted where it's just letting off pressure without causing extreme damage, but it's doing it all the time. He said, where on the other side of the world, what's happening is you're having this buildup, extreme buildup of energy that ends up in devastating, explosive kinds of earthquake events. And we're seeing that. And I thought about it and I thought, well, maybe some of that does have to do with the fact that the consciousness on the land in California is fairly forward thinking. In the world, California is a fairly forward thinking place on many levels, not that it doesn't have its issues. And I thought, I wonder if the heart of our state and all the way up the Ring of Fire, all the way up through Alaska, if this area has changed the effect of how our land is going to handle these earth changes, and not to put a negative point on it, but there's a lot of change that is yet to happen across the world. A lot of basic human rights issues have yet to occur. And I'm not saying that these horrid things are happening in those areas because of the lack of development on this level, but it's not keeping pace with the rest of the world. So maybe, I don't know, that's kind of a blamey thing to say. I'm not saying that. I'm just considering, could it be that this is exactly what you're talking about? Byron Bay, it's kind of the spiritual capital of Australia. Same thing, this high consciousness. You knew that you weren't going to be harmed. So, yes, they talked to me about that many years ago, which is why I brought it up with the Z's, and the Z's really enhanced on it and agreed with that.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, I love all of that. And it's interesting, the other thing that really sort of caught my attention when they were responding to that topic was also to say that, the we are so often told that the human race is kind of like behind the game. You know, we're slow and we're this and we're that. It's
Yeah.
not really moving fast enough. And one of the things that they said that I just went, I knew it, was like, you've also, the consciousness has actually risen so much more than expected. I mean, I don't know who expected what, but you know what I mean? Like, so we've actually raised our consciousness a lot more than was potentially predicted back then, which has also helped things evolve differently. And I think that so much of every topic that you cover in this book really gave me some peace, because there was kind of this underlying theme of, there's a few bumps, like there's continued bumps. However, you guys are ahead of where you actually think you are, if that makes sense. And that was very, it gave me a lot of peace to kind of have this underlying theme.
I'm glad, because that's exactly why I wanted to do this subject, was for exactly the response you're having, to understand you're doing fine, you're on track, there's continuity, you will go on, your earth will go on, and you're going to a better place. You're going to a higher level of consciousness. Now, as the Z stated throughout the book, we don't really have a choice. Consciousness has changed throughout the cosmos. It is now running throughout the entire cosmos, our solar system, our planet. Every sentient thing on our planet is now being infused with the new consciousness. It's now the basis of our new reality. And they were clear to say, if you try to understand this on a conscious level with your conscious mind, you're not going to be able to keep up. It's moving too fast now. So that's where some of the really beautiful parts of the book come in, about how we use our multidimensional intelligence, how our hearts and our minds will begin melding into how we make decisions. Our new intelligence will be run through this incredible tuning fork of the human body, this multidimensional sensorial tuning fork of the body. And so, yes, the point that we're going to be moving forward, and that consciousness is changing, it's happening rapidly, but that we are designed, the human species is uniquely equipped for change, even rapid change. That said, for people who really wish to cling to the past and what does not work for them any longer, this is a great opportunity. It won't be comfortable. Those things will be oftentimes ripped away from us now, because the time has come where we have all chosen to incarnate together at this time, to go through this upliftment in energies together. This is huge. It's not a small thing. Every channeled group I have spoken with, including my own beings, have said, you just cannot understand how important this time that you call an experiment in human history is, because there are species throughout the universe who are watching to see how you are able to integrate this high consciousness, which is imbued with empathy, love, high intelligence, creativity, and much higher levels than where we are right now, into a physical body that David Icke calls our meat suit, right? How that's going to be able to be integrated into a physical body with these incredible senses. They say this opportunity is sublime. Even talking about sexuality in the book, the Z's say most of us in this group have incarnated in one form or another at some time along the way. And we can say from our observation how extraordinary it is for you to be able to have all of these feelings and this human physical experience and sensual experience with another human being. It's just crazy good. It's crazy powerful throughout the universe. It's not a normal circumstance, shall we say. We're not a normal species. We're a hybrid species. And that's something, if we want to talk another time, I could go on about quite a bit. From my own group of guides from way back when, they started explaining how we came to be. And it's the most, to me, still the most powerful, beautiful story I've ever heard on our human origins, because it kind of precedes the other stories that have been recorded throughout history. And it gives a platform and basis for all of them to be true, which is, I love the grace in that. But it also helps us understand why we seem to be so darn confused, like we're walking around with a blindfold on.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, I just got full body, head to toe, like goosebumps, because everything that you said, there's so much to respond to, but that origin story, I'm absolutely going to take you up on that, because I need all the time in the world to hear that story in depth and detail.
I will be happy to do it. We'll make another date and do that.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Are you looking to build a successful human design or astrology business? Do you wish that you had your own chart tool on your website so you don't have to send people somewhere else to get it? BodyGraph.com provides all the resources you need to turn this vision into a reality. We use this incredible software in our business to provide charts and custom reading reports at the click of a button, generate leads, and bring in lots of passive revenue. BodyGraph.com has already helped coaches and entrepreneurs generate over $2.5 million in revenue. If you're ready to take your business seriously, start with a free trial and use the code HumanDesignPodcast to get 30% off for 6 months. Here's what you can do with BodyGraph.com. Embed stunning charts directly into your website, build personalized lead magnets to grow your email list, create and sell detailed reading reports, and even use their free website builder to get started fast. BodyGraph.com is the ultimate all-in-one platform for building your human design or astrology business. If you're ready to join the community of successful entrepreneurs, visit bodygraph.com and start building your dream business today. Follow the link in the show notes and use the code HumanDesignPodcast to get 30% off for 6 months. Now, I'm really curious about, because so many of the themes in the book actually really align with the human design new paradigm, this shift. You know, it really, I love to sort of hear all the different wisdoms kind of say the same thing, because again, it's that, well, if it's coming from all of these different places, then it gives that validity to what we're hearing. And the thing that I am really fascinated by is this shift from the head, the mind, and the shifting into the body. So in human design, as you know, we move from our decision making from the head to the body, but we're also heading towards this thing called the solar plexus mutation, which is teaching us how to feel, to
Yes.
stop being in reaction to our emotions, because these feelings are our new guides. And as I was listening to the book and this discussion around dropping into the heart and being led by the heart, I'm like, I feel like all of these things are showing up in my life, because over the last, I first read all the heart math sort of information in the book probably a decade ago. But I would say the last 18 months, 2 years, I'm obsessed. Like every day starts with, heart coherence. Every day ends with heart coherence. So hearing this from you and the Z's about this moving into the body and this multidimensional piece, I find this really fascinating, because my background is a behavioral coach. So I've worked so much with what goes on in the supercomputer between our ears. And the last, I'm going to say 6 months, it's almost like I'm not interested in the supercomputer anymore. And in the book, Lee talks about the subconscious mind. The Z's talk about the subconscious mind and how that's changing, and how it's really about getting into the body, because I'm obsessed with being. Like, what does it really mean and feel like to be? And it's something that, although it's very simple, I'm like, it's not easy. So I would love to hear your response to all of this. I feel like it's a big open-ended thing, but I'm pretty confident you know where you want to go with it.
Sure. Yeah. So after we did the recording, and it was a year and a half before the book actually came out, which turned out, we were kind of frustrated to begin with, but it turned out to be absolutely divine timing. The book came out when it needed to come out. Things had to be the way they are right now for the book to really kind of have a place, So I started experimenting with the concepts they were talking about. And the one thing they said, as you recall reading the book, that we all tend to look outside of ourselves. We tend to look to the heavens, look upward to speak to guides and, Galactic Federation, whoever we can talk to. Please, sir, would you please help me understand things? Please help me, sir, ma'am. So we're always looking up and out to get our answers. And they said, no more. You embody all of that knowledge. That universal truth and knowledge is already woven into the fabric of your multidimensional mind. And that permeates every cell in your body, all of you. And so the heart is the actual center for what you will be using as your central intelligence source in the future. And I remember percentages, they said 90, in the future, 92% of the population will be running their intelligence through their heart. So thinking about this, I thought, let's start experimenting. We don't have to wait till another lifetime and 100 years from now. Let's start now. And so what I would do is if I found something that was just annoying, we won't use a big deal, some small deal that just happens, it's an irritant in your day and your mind kind of grinds on it a little bit. So what I would do is take that little thing and I would take a couple of breaths, just breathe into yourself and breathe that thought down into my heart. The thought and the emotions going with it, the reactions going with it. I'd breathe it down into my heart, take another couple breaths, let it sit there, and see how I was responding. And I thought, wow, that is beautiful. What happened is everything would soften. The filters of reactivity from the subconscious mind aren't there. You have more compassion, patience, understanding. When you drop it into the heart, the unfiltered purity, as they call it, crystalline purity of the heart, you see things differently. And so now I actually use that on a regular basis. And then I thought, well, why do we stop there? And so I started looking at when I would encounter new people in particular and think, who is that person to me? I would sit in meditation, have the person before me doing what they do, behaving the way they behave, letting their energy run the way it runs. And I would sit quietly in my mind's eye and see which parts of my body were stepping forward. Is it the solar plexus? Is it the second chakra? Is it my heart stepping forward? Is it the mind? Where is the connection? And you can identify the connecting points with other human beings. I find it's actually not a difficult process, but you just have to play with it a bit. And again, I highly recommend that we don't wait on this. They talk about the future, but the future is like now, the next minute. That is the future too. So there's no reason we can't start developing those abilities right now. Because a lot of the people listening to this, including yourself, Emma, you're already there. You're already starting it. So why not make it a practice and start using our higher mind heart connection now and let the higher mind infiltrate the solar plexus, and the other chakras as well, and start looking at where is my reaction to this thing? Where is my connection to another person? And it will tell you, you don't need to go to a federation or go to your guides even for this. It's already there.
Oh my goodness, I love it so much. And I can completely resonate because it's this experience that, I'd been doing the meditation and then I went to see, I went to see Greg Braden in Sedona last year. And that was like solidified. So I think I'm constantly walking around with my hand on my heart, blah, 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 whatever the question is. And
that's
it has
excellent.
not led me astray.
It does not. And the thing we have to remember when we're going to the body, this is a little tricky here. There are nuances to this. Trauma over the course of lifetimes has landed in the body. When we reincarnate, we bring some of those events forward with us. It can sometimes happen by just being tight somewhere, by having a birthmark somewhere. We all know about this. We bring forward some of what has happened in the past by way of trauma. So we have to acknowledge that in some of the areas of the body, there might be a bit of trauma that's coming along with the subconscious memory of all of it. So just be aware of that. If you know where that is in your body, then you know that's an area that's maybe a little bit, I won't say compromised, but sensitive. But beyond that, we can trust the body because it's not bringing the filters of the mind. You start getting whipped up in the filters of the mind, you can create every kind of stupid future scenario imaginable. We all do it. It's just, what a waste of energy. It's just wagging us by our tails, because then the emotions go into coots with it. These subtle bodies all exist and are woven together here. You get the mind going, grinding on something, and then the emotions get in there with it, and they're having a party. They're getting you all wound up for nothing. If you just stop and say, okay, hold on, drop it in the heart or the stomach even, it's not going to be the same. So, yeah.
I love that. And it's so true. I have started a practice recently of, I went to a tea ceremony and I was sitting in tea ceremony, and I'm kind of not, I'm very spiritual, but I'm not like, you won't find me sitting in a ceremony circle. It's kind of not my jam because I often feel like this manifesting generator needs to get up and do something.
Yeah, you
But
have to
anyway, I went
be
to a
on the
tea,
move.
exactly. I went to a tea ceremony, and before I know it, there are tears like just streaming down my face. I'm like, it's almost like my connection to source is this huge superhighway all of a sudden, and I just can feel life like pulsating through me. And I was like, well, that's odd. So I went again, and apparently every time I sit in tea ceremony, it's an incredible experience for me. So I've started to create a morning. I mean, I've always kind of had a morning ritual, but I noticed I would do it because I thought I should do it, as opposed to doing it because it feels really good. And it's this transition that's been challenging for me. And I mean, I teach human design, so I'm always saying you need to listen to your body, you need to listen to your authority. But this whole process, I now sit in silence and stillness first thing in the morning and the hour before I go to bed. And oh my goodness, it's really hard. At first, I found it so challenging just to sit with my body. But the difference in how I can hear the wisdom coming through my body now, and I feel like this is really my next evolution, especially with my spiritual journey, that, oh my God, there is really nothing to do. There is only to be and receive. And the things that I create from that space are so different.
Yeah, because then you're responding, you're not reacting anymore. Different deal. Yeah, that's
I love
beautiful,
it.
beautiful practice.
It's I really do enjoy it, and I loved that was another thread through this book, authenticity. So one of the things that I've been talking a lot about recently through the frame of human design is that we're born with this original frequency, and what our human design can really help us do is to see the map to that. I love to think of human design. It's a treasure map to everything, all the treasure that lives inside of you. It's not you, it's just the map for you to access all of that. So the Z's talked a lot about the importance of being authentic. So I'd really just love you to talk about, what is authenticity, and how do we actually know when we're being authentic? I mean, for me, I'm like, oh, your human design is a beautiful way to give yourself permission just to be you. However, there's
Right.
a lot of people
It's
out there that aren't into
amazing.
human design.
I know it's too bad because human design is really amazing that way. There was something to me when I had my first human design reading by a woman named Carolyn Ford who knew Ra. That was in Sedona 25 years ago, maybe. She said something right off the bat that was so right on. I thought, you have my attention because it was so primally true for me. So, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
a big fan. But in lieu of that, when we have these mental reactions to life that are coming through these subconscious filters, the subconscious gets a bad rap. Um, the word ego gets a bad rap. The subconscious is really only there to keep us safe. It's recorded everything that's happened throughout our history, galactically, on Earth, everything that's ever happened. It's just a gigantic library of everything that's happened that has a certain charge to it, a stickiness and charge where there's trauma. So when we're reacting to life through the lens of the subconscious, which again requires those filters to hit the emotions and the mind, and like we talked about earlier, get kind of cranked up, and then you start doing compensatory behaviors. It's like then you start judging yourself and you're unkind to yourself. So I think anytime we start going through the process of having to adjust the face of who we are, I don't mean our face, but the presentation of who we are out of fear of lack of acceptance, out of lack of acceptance of self, lack of our own self-acceptance and love, which to me is the most critical thing. We've got to learn to accept ourselves. Then you have something that's going to come out not looking too much like what your soul had in mind. So you can tell number one is fear. And the Z's went on about fear in the book, and they said, look, fear has, just like the subconscious, it's there to keep you safe. Fear has a place. If you got to run out of the way of an oncoming car, run. But to stay in a chronically fearful place that is showing up in our everyday lives as self-judgment, judgment of others, and anxiety is putting this incredible cap and filter on our field. It is not allowing us to expand and shine. And it also ages you. Adrenaline, you're creating cortisol constantly to respond to all of this stress in your life. Cortisol ages us on a cellular level, and we're going into a period where we're not going to be aging as rapidly. We're going to have a lot of helpmates. So the authentic part of it is, if you can find a way, use all these different practices Emma was talking about, you're talking about, Emma, some of what I'm talking about, and start tapping into what the body is telling you. That's going to tell you the truth of your original template, much more than the societal conditioning that's happening here through the reactions of the mind and the subconscious. So once you're acting in harmony with the body and getting a truer reflection of how you really see things and feel and relate, then you have a chance to allow your authentic self to start shining through. But you can't do that if you're living in a state of chronic anxiety and fear. You'll be trying to please others. You'll show yourself as something you're not. You'll start putting yourself out in your Instagram, sizzle reel, as they call it, as something that's not you at all. And that's what that people are doing. The society has gotten wrapped up into that to a point where I think we're more inauthentic now as a species than we've ever been, because everything's pushing people that way. And people are so desperate to have acceptance, when in the end, it's really acceptance of self that's missing. So we try to please everybody else by being whatever we have to morph into to get a like, a thumbs up, or a cuddle.
Oh, so beautifully said. And I
Thank
feel
you.
like that is the epitome of my journey, has just been learning to, as I always say, love, trust, and accept myself. That's
Yes.
it. That's my job.
Yes, and we're all worth it. That's what the Z said. You don't understand. You're this amazing species that other people are relying on to get it, so that they can actually take this as a template forward, and in other places throughout the universe start replicating what this human experience is. This embodiment of love and grace and high intelligence in a physical, multisensory, multidimensional vehicle. And they say, you just have no idea how precious you are as a species. So if we just can accept at least that being human, we're special in the sense of just being this wonderful human thing that has to work through time and gravity and all of those fields of resistance in order to accomplish something in and of itself, is a great deal. I mean, that's a big deal. And so to respect that we're all in this journey where we've been around, most of us have been around here for a while, meaning we have experienced a good amount of trauma, and that's out here in the subconscious and feeding into here, these filters, and I think just be nice to ourselves and say, okay, I reacted badly on that one. Maybe I'll take a little look at where that's landing in my body. I'll try to do better next time. It's okay. You're okay. Just to be gentle with yourself is the most important thing, because everyone's going to be required to do that, because there's not a person that won't be challenged to some degree or another. The more easy we are with ourselves, the more we're willing to let go of what doesn't work, even if it's painful, inconvenient, even unthinkable sometimes, the more we're going to slide through this with ease. Anything we cling to, nope.
Oh, I love that. I love it so much. And it also is this, like, it doesn't have to be so hard. I think we've fallen
No.
into a place of, even our own healing has become this efforting, this job that we have to do. And it's interesting. I look at the things that have manifested easily in my life and the things that have taken time. And the things that have taken time are always when I'm putting so much effort in. And the things that have kind of happened easily, effortlessly, they're always the things that it's a throwaway comment, but yet it feels true. It's something that's come, as you say, through the body. And I feel, we're in this amazing time where ease is really going to be the way that
Yes.
we are most aligned to our truth. It's just we have to trust the simplicity of it.
Absolutely. That exactly everything we've been talking about. Just drop down, close your eyes, breathe, see where you are on it, and try not to put up a lot of resistance to the information you're getting. If you're getting truthful information and you resist it, you make your life very, very difficult.
Yep, done that. One thing I wanted to respond to about what you said about this brilliance of being human. When I was listening to the book, I can't remember exactly what the Z said, but at one point I just got this inspiration of all of a sudden I have this feeling that there are beings on other planets that, like, we sit down perhaps with our human design or our astrology and we're aware of how the other planets influence us. They're sitting down and they're talking all about Earth. And that sent me down this whole rabbit hole. Well, if Pluto is this energy and the moon is that energy, what would Earth's energy be? And that experience for me was like, wow, oh my God, you would absolutely want Mother Earth energy. This would be this most, whenever Earth was transiting in your design, you'd be like, bring it on. This is beautiful.
Yes, I mean, think just the earth itself. So many people right now, and well, for years have said, "Oh, I'm done with this." People who believe that there is a cycle to life and they believe in reincarnation is like, "I'm so done with Earth. I'm not coming back. I can't wait to be out of here," right? And I'm thinking, why? This is the most generous, regenerative, creative, beautiful planet. And so when we say we want to get out of here, usually it's because we haven't dealt well with something within this mind emotional matrix, and we just have a little work to do. Okay. But to reject Earth and this life and everything that it offers as a result of that, I say, well, you better watch what you wish for. It's a lot tougher in other places.
Yeah, yeah, it's so true.
And not
Oh
as
my God, I
beautiful.
love
They
it.
don't have salted caramel ice cream and skin and all this beautiful stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, I instantly go for my favorite chocolates. They're an Australian brand that I'm pretty sure you can get in California called
What
Loco
is it?
Love Chocolates. Loco
Oh,
Love.
okay. I'll have to look for it. Okay.
Go look them up. They are, and I think they even call them like, they're not medicinal chocolates, but they're all like, there's no processed sugar, no nothing. They're super, super clean. And some of them have like
Mm.
mushrooms in them, but I'm obsessed. Anyway,
Yes, I hear you. Well,
um,
I mean, there's a lot to engage our senses with on this planet, and we're losing track of it. And this brings us to another point too that's really important. If you want to get your bearings, especially now in this time of, I think it's fair to call it a post-truth era. We're not getting truth. If we're looking to outside sources, we're not getting truth. We're being siloed, we're being manipulated, misled, disinformed. That's happening. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on, that's what's happening. And so to be able to go back to nature, go back to your firsthand personal experiences, face to face contact with people, really engaging in conversation, that's going to be our salvation through the next 8 to 10 years of this quote post-truth era, and getting these little kids. I mean, it's all been one big experiment with the development of AI and social media and everything, but now we see some of the damage. In fact, there's a show on Netflix called Adolescence. I don't know if it's made its way around the world. I know it's in
yep.
England and the US. So you talk about getting real, about the necessity to let kids and people just live organically without this horrid AI manipulation and pressure is huge. I mean, really, I think that's kind of what has to happen in the next step. Disengage from that and absolutely engage with nature. And we talked quite a bit, as you know, about trees in the book, which I love. That's because I love
Yeah.
trees.
I love trees too. I actually have this really cute story where I was hiking. We have a beautiful hike that goes up to our lighthouse, and Lee's coming for lunch when he's here on his Australian
Yes,
tour,
and his
so I'm
big
going to
love
hopefully
tour.
take him on this walk. Yeah, yeah. And anyway, I was walking down the hill one day, and I just felt this inspiration to go and hug this specific tree. So I went up and I gave it a hug, and as I stepped away from it, there was a $50 note just sitting on the ground. I'm like, wow, I was just coming in for the hug, but thanks for the bonus $50.
Abundance from nature
Yeah,
herself.
exactly, exactly.
Oh, that is so
I would
sweet.
love to. I would love to talk about AI because I feel like this is a really big topic. And I know for me, at first I was like, ooh, I'm staying away from it. And then, now where I'm at, I've actually thought, okay, I'm not going to stop it. So what's my responsibility here? And one of the things that I'm very conscious of is the more people like me with higher consciousness that are coming from love, that are actually, putting information into this AI. And I don't mean my personal information. I don't mean all of that sort of stuff, but using it in a way that demonstrates this is what humans are all about. I literally, even the other day, taught it. And by the way, that's what humans are all about. They're about love. They're about heart. They're about harmony. They're not about separation. But like, I properly gave it a lecture. And,
Good.
and I feel like this is a really important topic because, and in the book, the Z's talk about this. It's like this is going to be something that helps us raise our consciousness, move forward. We have to be conscious that that is an option. So we can't completely disengage. We can't really ignore it altogether. But at the same time, we can't give our power away to it. We have to, like you just said, we have to stay engaged with the body, with nature, with reality, whatever that is. But
With
this
humans,
this
other
life right
humans.
here, right now,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. So I'd love to hear your response to the AI topic.
Yeah, I found one thing quite interesting, and they were saying, which of course makes total sense if you look at it logically. They said, first of all, this isn't the first time AI has visited your planet. In the other times of high civilizations on Earth, we've had AI. And in each epoch period of history and throughout the universe, AI is everywhere throughout the universe. Once a civilization reaches a certain level of intelligence, you create helpmates and tools and things to make your life easier and to assess things maybe more quickly and so forth. And so AI has been throughout the cosmos for a very, very long period of time. And it's been here on Earth for a very long period of time in the past and is here again. They said the difference is this time that AI is here when there is a much denser population. Not saying there are too many people, just that it's a denser population than when AI has been present in the past. So it's having a little different effect on the masses. And really, to me, where the line shouldn't be crossed too much at this stage is when it comes to our own conscience and in creativity. So when we're looking to AI to solve social dilemmas, psychological issues, and so forth, I say check in with ourselves first, then AI.
Mm.
When it comes to creativity, check in with yourself and create everything you can under your own steam first before you turn to AI to help. Yes, AI, as they said, is going to be fabulous when it comes to medical assessments, biological assessments, helping us with our healing and our future medical systems to come, with assessment of and any help that's needed to keep our Mother Earth happy and healthy with our involvement with her and not destroy, her environment one way or another. It's going to be very helpful in these areas. I would say even assessing algorithms that have to do with financial industries and trends, it's as good as anything else. I mean, granted, it's still being skewed and programmed, but it's being programmed more in mass now. So we can look at even maybe financial trends. Um, so I think that there is a place for it. We are going to be using it, but I wouldn't use it in the place of our own creative involvement, our own emotional development. That's where I wouldn't use it. I have friends, my one neighbor, doesn't matter what there is in life. Well, I asked Chat, and her whole life is around what Chat says. And it's like, I'm an eye roller. I do it quietly
Yeah.
so she can't see me. But another woman recently, I saw this report that was absolutely fascinating. She was a researcher. She was a researcher in the field of academia, and she was crunched to get this certain report out, and it had to be exact in its references, and this was in literature. Now this should be a no-brainer. She took 4 hours using, I think it was Chat GPT, trying to find out the original sources of materials, what the original quotes were, and getting everything laid out accurately. She was not given one correct answer. Not one.
Mm.
Not one.
Mm.
So Yeah, we have to be careful. ChatGPT doesn't know everything. It will become more and more sophisticated as we go on, no doubt about it. But at this point, it didn't know some really basic stuff. And she said she tested it for 4 hours. She really wanted to see if she could rely on it. She said no, absolutely not. And she encourages her students, use your brain, do some old-fashioned research for yourself. Don't rely on it. Not yet. So, yeah, we have to engage how we feel as fit. And certainly when it comes to our little kids, we're coming into an age where you're not going to be able to tell fantasy from fact anymore. There are going to be stories that are put out there about discoveries. It's already happening.
Yeah.
Great discovery in Egypt. Turns out the whole thing is just an AI artistic rendition of a faux story, and people think it's real.
Wow.
We
Yeah.
we have to be very careful because we don't want to lose our sovereignty. But the one thing that they said, if you remember, is the Z's were saying the thing that will differentiate us in the end when AI becomes basically sentient is our heart, running our mind through heart, letting heart have a say, because it can never have that. It won't. It can try to emulate certain patterns, but it doesn't have a five sensory world, and it doesn't have a heart, and that heart will always differentiate humanity from AI if we learn to work with it.
I love that. So, so beautifully said. All right. I'm super conscious of your time. There's so many other things. However, I just want to ask, the last question is, what do you think we haven't spoken about that we really need to cover before we finish today?
Well, one of the things one of the things that just plagues humanity is our relationships with each other. And so by getting out of that fear and anxiety, which is skewing us and making us look for things that we shouldn't be looking for outside of ourselves, trying to extract things from others, being transactional in our relationships with others causes massive amounts of pain on this planet and disconnection. And so to be able to go into relationship in a new way, and they said the future of relationships is based on harmonics. You don't write a transactional list and say, I want this, 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 and this out of a partner. No, you actually sit with a person and you feel them and you see where you relate, where there's harmony, where you have things that are in common, how you feel inside about them. That this is going to be the new currency for relationships, and they'll look very different in the future. It will not be transactional. It will not be out of societal desperation where if you're a female, you better get married or you're going to die. You won't have anyone to support you. That's over. Those days are over, even though they're lingering in
Yay.
certain less developed parts of the world. It's over. And so now we have to actually open up this sensorial system of ours, open up our hearts, and see where there's common ground and where you just feel warm and want to be in the company of someone, and where you're coming to the table to ask what you can give to the situation instead of what you can extract from it. I think human relations have to change, and they're very big on this notion of harmonics, developing our harmonic level with each other.
Oh my goodness, I love that so much. I've just had this experience in my life. Almost 2 years ago, I separated from my now ex-husband, and my entire life I've dreamt about having this beautiful, harmonious family. And I tried and I tried and I tried. And it was literally, I'm going to say, I don't know, a month ago, that I was just sitting in one of my still moments and I was like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, I have my dream family. I have my dream family. It just doesn't look anything like I thought it should look. And, I have these two incredible children. For whatever reason, they both now live with me full time. I actually have one of my besties lives here with us. We have someone who helps us with the house as well. So they have all of these people around them, and all of my best friends all over the world, their aunties and uncles. And we play games. We've been introduced to cornhole. Thank you. We love
I have cornhole. It's fun. I like it.
It's so good. But I think this is what I love about this relationship piece is what you just said, harmony. One of the things I have noticed is that we all laugh so much. We love each other's presence. We like my teenage boys want to hang out with me. Like at one point, my eldest was telling me about how I know I should go to my girlfriends more, but Mum, I just want to be here with you. And I'm like trying to act cool on the outside, and on the inside, I'm jumping through hoops, So I really think that this is so important, this relationship piece. And the thing that I think I've really learned now on a physical level is how relationships should actually feel peaceful. They should actually feel harmonious. And, if this is the future, then bring it on, I say.
Absolutely. It's up to us to start defining it in a new way, like you just did. And last night I had a very similar situation. It was so fun. I had a woman here that lives in my house downstairs in her little apartment, and she has her partner, and they were upstairs having dinner. I made dinner for everybody, and a friend of mine came, a very close friend of mine came over. And she's very different. She likes to research everything and everything. She has a big opinion on things, which is wonderful. And she's kind of the auntie of the group, right? And this is
Yep.
sort of this is the central place where people gather. And so we're all having dinner and chatting, and two of us were saying, I really want to get I'm inspiring. Yeah, I get it. I want a dog again. I miss dogs so much. My dog and dad died the same day, almost a couple of years ago, and it was just such a sad day. And I would love to have a dog again, but Auntie is saying, no, you don't. You travel too much. You can't have a dog. And then the partner of the girl, the friend of mine who lives here, said, oh no, it's okay, I'll run the dog. I like to run. I would love to have a companion. So everyone's pitching in at when they could be here if I was gone for some reason. And we were laughing and having the most, and I thought, this is family. Even though I have a wonderful family just 30
Yes.
miles down the road, this is legitimate family too. We're all in harmony with one another, and we'll all get a little puppy together.
Oh my God, do it. Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. We have two dogs and I travel a lot. And now we have this amazing human that, she does work with us. She cooks our food and she does all sorts of things, but she also stays here when I'm traveling and she walks the dogs. And, I remember like giggling to myself, God, Emma, you've even like hired a nanny for the dogs, because I want everyone just to feel good, and I
Exactly.
really do
That's
think
what
this
it's
is the
about.
future.
That is the
Yeah.
future. We will create family.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be from blood.
Yeah. My eldest even said to me, because he's 18 this year and he'll be off overseas next year. And he said to me at one point, Mum, you've given me full permission to live differently, to know that I can travel the world with my best friend. And if I want to live with her and not be in a relationship with her, then I can do that, And I'm like, yeah, babe, you get to create your own family by your rules.
Exactly.
So I love that I see these kids already thinking differently,
Yes, that's the future. We get to design our lives the way that works for us in a harmonious way. And that can look very different from person to person, and it's beautiful.
Oh, so good. What a beautiful place to finish up. Wow. Regina Meredith, thank you so much for being here with me and talking all about this incredible book that you did with Lee and the Z's.
Thank you so much, Emma. It's been delightful, and we'll chat again about the origins of humanity another day.
Oh my God, I'm pumped for that. And we are going to make sure that we put all the links to the book in the show notes. We'll also pop Open Minds in there for you because you've got to go check it out if you haven't already. I'm guessing most of you have because I often bang on about it on the podcast. But, and for everyone here listening today, thank you so much. I trust that you got what you needed from today's episode, and I so look forward to having you on the next one. Bye for now.
Thank you so much, Emma. Bye-bye.